A few months ago, the most powerful man in the world looked at the ruins of Gaza and called it a future Riviera. As if tens of thousands of bodies were not buried under the soil, as if the people didn't matter, only the beachfront. What is that? What is that? I'll tell you. This is the voice of modern day colonialism, the voice of empire, casual, deluded, entitled. It's the same logic that builds settlements, funds genocide, and bulldozes homes while speaking of peace. And I wish I could say it only lives in the powerful, but it doesn't. It lives in our institutions. It lives in our economies. And if we're really honest, it lives in us too. I am speaking to you today as someone who has been immersed in the highest echelons of business, investment, law, and so-called human rights for over 20 years. I even studied colonialism as part of my postgraduate work. And I can tell you, we like to think colonialism has ended, but it hasn't. It's evolved. It rebranded. Today, it wears ties, launches impact funds, like I did, speaks in Davos, like I did, and sells AI surveillance tools tested on Palestinians. It calls apartheid a conflict, and it builds systems that extract, displace, and silence, and calls it development. This is not just injustice. It is empire, modern, global, and alive. But colonization doesn't just happen on maps, it colonizes imagination. It tells us who is worthy of life and who isn't, who gets to speak and who must disappear. Can you already see how this manifests itself in our lives yet? Let me give you some examples to bring it to life. Imagine an Arab bride who bleaches her skin or wears lighter makeup before her wedding, or an East Asian person who goes under the knife to make their eyes bigger, wider, more Western, or an abused wife who refuses to get divorced because she has been taught that her value lies in being married no matter what the cost. This is not weakness. This is the long shadow of empire etched into our bodies and passed down through generations. It's in the way we think, it's in the way we see. This mindset doesn't just invade countries, it invades souls, sometimes without us even knowing it. And of course, I've seen it in myself too, the way I used to measure my success by how neutral or professional I sounded, or how I softened my tone in human rights spaces, afraid of being called too intense, too much. But I've spent my life fighting for justice. As an activist, as a barrister trying to use the law that I thought was meant to protect, but too often serves the powerful. As a founder trying to build businesses that don't just extract, but serve the community. But it took me years to realize that some of the systems that I was trying to change were also shaping me. This is me on the cover of Forbes many years ago. fun fact was that I was pregnant during this photo shoot. And I thought I was nauseous from the shawarma I had eaten the night before, but I was actually pregnant with one of my 3 incredible children who are with us here tonight. Anyway, I digress. You might think, and from the sound of the applause, I think you do, that being featured here would open so many doors. And in many ways, it did. I had the opportunity to speak about justice for Palestine in a mainstream financial publication, and that mattered. But what I didn't realize until many years later, after doing a course on the subconscious mind, was that after this cover, I thought I had to become the Forbes version of myself. I thought I had to be more formal, more polished. I told myself, you shouldn't go out dancing in public, you should be too expressive. And without even noticing, I had internalized a set of restrictions. Let me give you another example. This is me when I qualified as a barrister about 20 years ago. Those are the hands of my husband fixing my collar. I've always admitted that I only became a barrister because I thought that being an activist wasn't enough. Is that maybe some sort of internalized colonization? Perhaps. But I'm showing you this picture mainly to draw attention to the wig. The wig is a colonial relic that began in the 17th century. When Britain colonized much of the world, it exported not just its laws, but its dress code too. So, no, the wig isn't just some quirky fashion relic, it's a symbol of empire, of how colonial influence still shapes our idea of authority. Even now, the wig lives on, a thread of empire that still hasn't been cut. Compare the wig with this jacket, which is authentic and intentionally political. It is transparent to expose the layers of empire and the injustice within. The keffiyeh is hidden, forcing you to look and not look away. And the whole jacket is burnt and fragmented, yet retains its wholeness, symbolic of the Palestinian struggle. Of course, the wig and the jacket are 2 polar opposites, but you get my point. Let's fast forward to a more recent photo. This is me meditating in a wellness studio I launched after I qualified as a yoga teacher. I'm not saying that you need to meditate or do any yoga at all to evolve your awareness. What I am saying is this: you can't dismantle a system while still seeking its approval. You can't heal while pretending that the world is fine. And decolonization, it's not something we study. It's something we live or we don't. People tell me they feel overwhelmed, numb, hopeless, like nothing they do matters. And I understand that. I have felt exhausted too. I am exhausted today. But that feeling, that sense of paralysis, that's not just a response to the news. That is part of the design. Empire doesn't just control land and laws. It controls beliefs. It tells you your voice is irrelevant, your grief is excessive, your love for justice is too loud, too angry, too much. It convinces you that nothing can change. But nothing about the world is inevitable. Every system that exists was built by people and can be dismantled by people. So, what do? We start by decolonizing the mind. And that doesn't mean reading theory. It means asking, where did I learn to feel small? Who taught me to be afraid of my own voice? What part of myself did I bury to survive in a system that wasn't built for me? Tonight, I invite you to take 10 minutes to journal about the following. And please feel free to take a picture so you can remind yourself to do this later. Ask yourself, where in my life am I reproducing the logic of empire? What would it look like to choose differently? Reflect on your choices, your leadership, your relationships, even how you treat your own body. There is no need for shame. Start with awareness, then commit to one shift, one change, one refusal. You may find that decolonizing means unlearning many things. It means that recognizing that healing is political, that liberation is not a metaphor, and it means aligning our choices, our money, our work, our lives, even what we wear, with truth. Boycott the systems that profit from genocide. Challenge your institutions. Speak up in rooms that feel too polite for truth. Uplift the people doing the work. And if you have power, redistribute it. I want to pause here because some of you could still be thinking, what difference can I really make? So, let me say this clearly. You are not powerless, not because you can fix everything, but because you can choose not to accept the logic of empire. You can choose to stay human, to stay awake, to love in a world that teaches indifference. That is not nothing. That is everything. This moment is not asking us to be perfect. It is asking us to be brave, to resist the numbness, to refuse the story that tells us to wait, to comply, to forget. We are not here to make empire kinder. We are here to end it and build something beautiful in its place. A world where we return to each other, where justice isn't an exception, it's the norm, and where no one is disposable, and where we finally remember what it means to be free. So, let us take a moment, and if you are willing, stand up with me. Place a hand on your heart. Take a deep breath and close your eyes. Let yourself feel your own aliveness, your clarity, your refusal to be numb. And if you are ready to say no to empire and yes to justice, and if you are ready to shift just one thing in your life, just raise your hand quietly. Not for me, for you. Because this is how we begin. With presence, with choice, and with each other. You can open your eyes. Thank you very much.